Thanks for joining us. My name's Liam Harrison. I'm Practice Lead for Intelligent Process Automation at Intelligy. Intelligy are a leading UK-based technology provider. We were founded in 1994, so we've been going nearly 25 years now. We're based in Sunbury, near London, and we're a Microsoft Gold partner. We have particular expertise in information management and governance, intelligent process automation, platform services, applications, and modern workplace. My particular focus, of course, is intelligent process automation. So I think it's really important, before we start, to explain what we do. So our focus is on users and processes. Customers come to us because they want a number of things. They want to review their current setup, and they want advice on how to improve their processes. They want to make them more efficient. They want to make them less clunky. They want to make them more reliable. This means that they can spend more time doing what they're supposed to be doing, their jobs. We take away the noise of paper processes and manual tasks with solid, easy-to-use tools which are natural and take the load off of the user. And that is a great way to kickstart your digital transformation. These paper-based forms and Excel-driven processes are unreliable, clunky, difficult to maintain. There's often only one person who gets how it works. Data is duplicated all over the place, etc., etc., etc. We can give you solutions which are easy to use and easy to maintain. That means intelligent process automation is great for reducing the risk which comes from all these manual steps. We can also give you deep visibility into how your business functions, identifying bottlenecks and elements for improvement. We put people front and centre. We listen, analyse, and build to strike the right balance. Now, these solutions can take many forms. We adapt easily to different technology, but broadly speaking, we work with advanced workflow, automated document generation, mobile apps and forms, but we also get to play with the fun stuff, things like robotic process automation, machine and process intelligence, so we can stay at the cutting edge. That means that we're able to offer solutions that you don't normally see, all the things which are not covered by out-of-the-box software. Project provisioning, spend approval, complex regulatory processes like a freedom of information request. Today we're going to focus on one in particular. To get into a real-life scenario, we have to focus on something real, something that takes place in a specific industry. But don't worry, the principles involved here apply to any organisation. Any organisation. We worked with a civil engineering groundworks contractor. They have multiple sites in the UK. Building sites. One of their key processes is making sure that the right materials are in the right place at the right times. Now that's a really relatable process for many organisations. Think marketing events, think sales presentation, think anything that requires your workers to go somewhere and get something done. In order to get that work done, they need, really need, the correct materials. These guys appreciated the importance of the process, but the view was, well, this process is pretty simple, right? Materials get requested, materials get ordered, and materials get delivered. Simple. So why were they tearing their hair out? The foremen who put in the material requests were getting really frustrated. When you put in a request, it was like a black hole of communication. You had no idea what the status of the order was. You had no idea if the correct materials would show up. You had no idea when the materials would show up. Planning was kind of a black art. The back office who actually took care of the orders were fed up too. They always had the foreman on their backs. They were constantly running in circles, putting out fire. Efficiency of the process just suffered more and more. It was a vicious circle. And so the business was constantly at risk. The idea was to save money by pooling material orders and getting the best price, but they were regularly losing money because of project delays. All for one simple process. It's never that simple though. Processes are human and organic. It's easy to oversimplify what is in fact a complex series of interactions. A process is also only as good as the system which supports it. We worked with them to map out their process. We ran workshops to define their user journey. And that simple process looked more like this. Put yourself in the foreman's shoes. You need some materials for the next phase of work. coming up in a couple of weeks. You need to make sure that they're coming in, and you need to know exactly when. Otherwise, your guys will not be able to get to work. And you're either losing money that way, or you're losing manpower. So you go and you find yourself a quiet spot with reception, and you ring up head office to request the materials. You used to be able to handle the orders yourself, but the business is insisting on centralising orders to save money, which you suppose you can see the sense in, but this way of doing things is a little bit of a nightmare. Luck is on your side today, though. Someone at head office actually picks up. Not only that, but they can actually help. Now we switch over to the buyer. You're in the middle of something. Another foreman has been chasing you about his materials, but it's your turn on the phone, and you know Debbie is keeping track. You pick up the phone, and it's our foreman. You don't have the spreadsheet open right now, and last time you tried, Debbie had it locked. So you write down the request on a post-it note, stick it under your screen, and you'll do it later. And that's the end of the phone call. So from the foreman's point of view, it's all done. The materials should show up in 2 weeks. That's the standard lead time. If not, the foreman will have to chase. Back in the office a few hours later, Debbie's out of the spreadsheet now, so we can log the material request properly. Now what I actually do is go backwards. I put in each line item in the orders page, and then I go to the requests page, that's where all the foreman's requests are kept, and I look for what the latest ID should be. I put that ID in the line item spreadsheet, then I go back to the request page again, and I put in a request with the ID I just used. There's a lookup in a pivot table in another sheet that joins up the dots, so I need to be careful to make sure that that's right. And then I need to remember to save it. And then I need to remember to check it in, so it's not locked for everyone else. Then, as part of the day-to-day work in the office, we work off of the spreadsheet. We pull line items from material orders, we place orders, and we follow up on existing orders. For special orders, or if a supplier contract is up, we create new requests for pricings, where we have to go out to 3 suppliers, and the purchase has to be approved at a manager's meeting. So once we'd mapped out that process, our next step was to highlight the risks. Risks being the point in the process where things could go wrong. We could assign a likelihood to them, but Murphy's Law being what it is, if you repeat a process enough times, the risk points will go wrong. So the idea is to remove all of the risk points and reevaluate regularly to continually improve the process. Highlighting risks is not easy. It's a conversation, or even a series of conversations, with the people involved at each step in the process. People are used to the way things are done round here, so getting them to say what could go wrong and why is not always easy. Our approach is to walk them through the process and make it as real as possible. Kind of like I'm doing here. We come up with some ideas before about what risks could be there based on our experience and looking at the process maps. We know, for example, that any manual data entry carries an inherent risk. We know that bottlenecks aren't just about slowing work down. The natural reaction to a bottleneck is to try and find a workaround, subverting the process, and that's a much bigger risk. And we like to challenge users at every step to be really sure we've got as thorough an overview as possible. It's impossible to get everything, but with an iterative approach, as users start to experience the new way of doing things and get used to the refining process, the process adapts and improves over time to be the best version it can be. For this particular process, we highlighted a number of risks. Patchy reception. This affected the call quality, or even the ability to make a call. The risk here is that the orders were placed late or incorrectly. Manual collection of the material request. That was error-prone. It increased the chance of getting the wrong order, or the wrong order being placed, and or wasting time going back to the foreman. Same for the data entry into the sheet. Plus, this was a bottleneck. In a team of 5 buyers, only one could have the sheet open, so they'd often have to wait, or keep a copy of the sheet. This bottleneck also affected the visibility of the information. When it came to knowing when an order would show, only one person at a time could see what they knew to be the correct information. When it came to chasing late orders or an order confirmation, it was often responsive. The foreman with the loudest voice normally got the best service. These follow-ups should have followed a logical process, But that process was pretty much universally ignored in favour of, I've got to do this to get them to shut up. All this took time away from and reduced the quality of the core role of the buyers, making sure we get the best price and service on material orders. Once we'd highlighted these risks, we set about recommending an approach. A good general rule is to automate the risk points. This ensures the integrity of the process and takes the pressure off of the people whose roles intersect with that process. With that in mind, we considered the intersecting user experience. Now, the start point for this process was on site, so there was no point looking at anything that required access to a PC or having good reception. So we mobilised it. Now, you don't need anything more than a phone. Any phone. The technology we used, Nintex App Studio, essentially gives you a mobile app platform. We created a custom company app with no code. Aside from the convenience of a mobile app, it uses the phone's hardware, so GPS can know which site you're on. There's no need to find a quiet spot. You just whip out your phone. And this is all based on SharePoint data. List the materials. It's like a shopping basket. No worries about connectivity, just submit, and if there's no connectivity, it goes into an outbox. You can also save as a draft and come back to it later if you need to. All this guarantees that the data gets back to the office. And it's not limited to that one process either. Say I'm responsible for incident reporting too. I can do that. I can even take a picture of the incidents. So that was the field interaction mostly sorted. The app took away a huge amount of noise straight away, so we moved on to sorting out the sheet. You might recognise this, it's Office 365, standard SharePoint out of the box. You might not recognise SharePoint. You might not recognise SharePoint anymore, it's got a little bit pretty recently. If you don't know SharePoint, it's Microsoft's collaboration platform, great for portals, data and documents. What we have here is a page with an overview of some different metrics and multiple views of the data that we've collected. So these are the requests, and a workflow has taken them, split out the individual line items, and then orders can be properly dealt with. The RFE process also got slightly automated. These decisions and reminders happen much more smoothly now. Automated emails and tasks keep everything running like clockwork. And this data gets fed right back to the mobile app, so the foreman doesn't need to ring up anyone. Like I said, this is built on Office 365. There's a massive range of functionality. All of your Office tools, Word, etc. Collaboration from Yammer, Teams, SharePoint. Low-code process automation, design tools in Power Apps and Flow, to name but a few. But for this project, as I mentioned, we used Nintex for the Mobile App Studio and for the workflows. Nintex is an advanced process automation platform, and there were advanced needs here. This is a complex process, even though it seems simple. It needed mobile integration, and it absolutely needed a no-code approach so that we could pass on the development to the customer after the project was finished. And that's really important, because if you think about it, these guys managed to save a significant amount of time and money, reduced risk, and made users happier, just by automating one simple process. In any industry, there are loads of these sort of processes. We've gone through a material supply chain, but what about things like change requests, safety inspections, RFI or RFP management, employee offboarding or onboarding, leave requests? These simple processes have a few things in common. They represent the lifeblood of all organisations, yet most people see them as a distraction from the real work taking place. that means that they get less attention. And that tends to mean that mistakes are made. Add it all up, and it's a lot of time, money, risk, and dissatisfaction. We got these guys started on one simple process. Now their digital transformation is well underway. Thank you very much for your time today. My name's Liam Harrison. As I mentioned, I'm the practice lead for Intelligent Process Automation. You can follow me on Twitter, or you can follow Intelligy on Twitter as well. You can also have a look at our nice new website and our blogs that we regularly put out on various subjects. So please feel free to get in touch and talk to us about your processes, your forms, some things that aren't quite working right, and we'll do our best to help out. We can offer a free no-commitment workshop to get you started on this way.